How do you sell a house without an agent? Welcome back. I'm Ted Thomas. I've been involved in real estate for my whole life. In the past 30 years, I've been involved in tax liens and deeds. But prior to that, I was in the house rental business. Then I grew that to the apartment house business, 50, 75, and 100 units. Even did commercial real estate. But today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. How to sell a house without an agent. So in the last 30 years, I've learned a lot about selling property. If you know a little about differences and you know a little bit about selling, you're going to save yourself a ton of money. I'm very positive about real estate agents and those people, and I've been involved in alternative real estate for a long time. So they're very useful. They're going to help you with a lot of things. However, it's going to cost you money to do all that. So you want to be able to learn how to do this yourself. And if you do learn how to do it yourself, you'll probably save 10% or more on the selling price. In other words, you'll keep 10% or more of the money. All right, so this episode is all about, I'm answering a question. The question is, how do you sell a house without an agent? Now, there's a lot of alternatives to do this. All right, so kind of open up your mind. We're going to learn a little bit about this. Some of the things that you can do for selling the house are you could put ads on Craigslist. You could go on eBay. You could just do newspaper ads. But you definitely want to do what you see right here and have a sign in front of it. Now, we have whole classes on how to make ugly signs. Believe me, ugly signs really work. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about brokers, realtors, and people in the business. These are a great source to help you not only with your sales, because many brokers will allow you to put your property on the MLS system, okay? So you need to join with these people and not use them as enemies. You want to make sure that you're working with them because they're going to give you a lot of information that will help you out an awful lot. Now, I'm going to come right back in a minute and give you more information. How to sell a house without an agent. All right, now before you finish this video, I'm going to show you a number of ways to sell a house, and you're going to learn some traditional methods, and then I'm going to show you some alternative ones that the entrepreneurs use. All right, now the entrepreneurs, what do they want to do? They want to save money. They want to make the thing happen fast. So I'm one of those people that wants to make it happen fast. So I'm not negative on agents, and I'm not negative on brokers. If they're willing to help you and they're going to bring you offers, well, that's fine. But I'm going to make sure that I'm marketing the property myself, especially because I'm involved in an alternative part of real estate. All right, so these entrepreneurial strategies are not unique, but they're easy to do. And if you just pay a little bit of attention in this video, you'll be a mini expert before we finish. So what's Zillow? What's eBay? What's Facebook Marketplace? All of those are important to you because you'll want to put your property there and see if you can sell it. Now, you're going to try to do that on multiple sites, not just one. Don't try and put it in one place and expect something's going to happen. Put it in as many places you possibly can, and you want to keep renewing if you're doing it on Craigslist. You have to make this a business to get these properties sold. Now, believe me, the real estate agents work all month to get one deal. You're going to be able to do multiple deals, and you're going to have some kind of program that you're out there doing this all the time. Now, the local buyers, they know what's going on. Don't assume that they don't know anything about your pricing. Don't assume that they don't know about the neighborhood. They do. You can tell them as much as you know, but if you're selling properties that are slightly used and abused, you're going to have some differences, some uniqueness to what you're doing. So you sell based on the difference. In other words, is your property a little better for some reason? Why would it be better? Is it going to be the financing? Is it going to be the property itself? Is it going to be the pricing? You're going to have to know those things and be able to compare with other parts of the market. So what am I doing? I'm answering the question, how to sell without an agent. All right, now I'm not negative on the agents or the brokers at all. You want to use those people, but you need to know all these differences or you're not going to be able to sell the property. You're going to have a tough time if you're just waiting for people to show up, unless you can pull your price way down, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, so I've been involved in alternative real estate for a long time. What's alternative real estate? Well, it's tax defaulted property, tax liens, tax deeds. And why do you get involved in that? Because the discounts on those properties at auctions can be 60%, 70, 80% discount. Well, I can tell you right now, when I learned about tax deeds, once I learned about it 30 years ago, I never turned around and looked back because I knew if I got an 80% discount, that gave me a lot of margin between the price I paid and the price that the property was worth in the marketplace. All right. So what am I saying to you? I'm saying to you, find out all the things you know about your property, be able to tell people that, and try to buy these properties at the right price. In real estate, if nobody's ever told you, I'm going to tell you right now, you make your money when you buy. Let me say it again. You make your money when you buy. And that's exactly what I got in the business I'm in. Why? Because I could buy it right at auctions for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar with no mortgage, and then I could sell it for anything I want. So at auctions, these properties are sold at bargain prices. Why? Because the county doesn't want the property. They just want to get it back into the marketplace. So all of these properties are a little bit different, but they're all over the United States. There's going to be 5,000 tax auctions this year. 5,000 every single year or more auctions that they're trying to get rid of those properties. All right, most people don't know about tax liens or tax deeds because it's an alternative investment. It's been around for 200 years. It's right under my nose. For the first 30 years in real estate, it was right under my nose. Didn't even know it. But when I found out that I could get properties with 60, 70, 80% discounts, I knew I was going to be in that business because the margins were so great. And hold on for just a couple of minutes because I'm going to show you what margin does and what a difference it makes for you. All right, so a lot of you are out there and you've been working, you maybe had some curveballs thrown at you, and you think that you can't make it, that maybe you're a little bit too old or it's too late for you. Well, I'm going to tell you, if you learn how to do this, you can build a good future very quickly by using seller financing. We'll talk a little bit about that. But right now, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how to sell a house without an agent. And it's not that difficult. All right, so think about eBay. Think about Craigslist. Think about Facebook Marketplace. Think about ugly signs. Think about asking realtors, real estate brokers, if they will allow you to put it on their MLS and you pay them a fee for that. You pay the brokers fees for that. It's worth it because you're getting exposure. So you want to get as much exposure as possible. You need to let the marketplace know, otherwise the property's not going to sell. Now, if you're going to sell a property, what is the difference between yours? In my business, we have a lot of houses that are used and abused. So what we do is we change the pricing. And I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. If you can buy for 10, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar, well, you can have a much better price than anybody else in the marketplace. Now, where do we get these properties? Well, I get them at auctions. What kind of auctions? Tax defaulted auctions. There's plenty of them. There's going to be 5,000 of them. But I want to get it at a bargain price, and these properties all have the mortgage wiped out. In other words, the treasurer of the county cancels the mortgage at the public records. What a great deal that is for you. If you can get a property for 30 cents on the dollar, I know you want to get as many as you can. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Is that going to give you a difference? It's going to give you a major difference in being able to sell that property. So let's look at the slide. What does it say? Could your price be much different than everybody else if you bought for 20 or 30 cents on the dollar? Could your terms be different? Could you use a different interest rate than everybody else? Could you do financing for 10 years, 20 years, whatever? Could you change the down payment? There's a lot of differences between property. Well, if you have differences, that's how you're going to sell the property. I'm looking for people that maybe had a bad FICO score. All right, so if they have a bad FICO score, what's going to happen to them is the banks are going to reject them. Well, if they're rejected, I've got my house, I'm buying it low, I'm going to sell it low. What did I say? I said I'm going to buy it low and I'm going to sell it low. Is that different? Yes, it's way different because everybody in real estate talks about buy it low, sell it high. Well, that sounds good, but check it out around your neighborhood. Who's the biggest store? Walmart, Costco, Target. They all have the same business. Buy it low, mark it up a little bit, and get rid of it again. Buy it low, mark it up a little bit. They move tons and tons. All the trucks going down the road, what are they doing? They're delivering to those stores, and they're getting rid of product. You can do the same thing with housing. Buy it low and sell it a little low. All right, I call that my Walmart strategy. I like to buy it 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar. I don't try to steal them. I do the best I can. 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar. It's going to give me a lot of margin. If I've got margin, I'm going to be able to sell without an agent in minutes. It's not going to take me any time because I can get way below them, way below them. So now I can do financing, like seller financing. I can get below the market, and now I'm going to be able to sell. Well, if I'll offer payments, installment payments, all the people, probably 20% of the market, are going to come and see me Why? Because I'm going to give installment sale, and they don't have to go to the bank and get a whole bunch of approval. Now, those people are all the people that are challenged with a FICO score. Now, what happened to them? I don't know what happened to them. Maybe they had a curveball. Maybe something like sickness held them back. Maybe they had a divorce. Maybe they lost their job. I don't know what happened to them, but if they have a poor score, no way the bank's going to touch them. So why don't I finance them? Now I got something different. I could sell quickly without an agent if they don't have to get a lot of approvals. Can you imagine waiting for an approval, waiting for an appraisal, waiting for a home inspection? All that takes months. I can make the deal on the hood of the car. Why can I do that? Because I can bring my pricing down and I'm going to have traffic to the property. So let's do some examples and kind of look at this just to kind of open your mind to the ideas. Once you have the ideas in your mind, you can do something about it. So our session today is how to sell a property without an agent. So here's a property that's not so down and out, okay? $400,000 property coming up for auction. So the auction's going to start at the back taxes. Now this happens. Houses just like you see there, you'll see them come up for auction, and the pricing starting will be 10 or 20 cents, maybe 30 cents on the dollar. All right, well, what if you could buy that nice house for 30 cents on the dollar? But let's go back and see what it was worth. $400,000. Oh, well, that means you're going to need some money. So maybe you need an investor to help you, or maybe you already have money. But let's kind of walk our way through something like that. So it's a $400,000 house. If we pay 30 cents on the dollar, do we have enough margin? Look at the margin there. It's a huge margin. Well, now, do we have to sell it for $400,000? Well, of course, everybody wants to sell it for $400,000. But why don't we give a 30% discount on the other side and get below the $400,000? For example, could we go ahead and list the property 30% less than everybody else on Craigslist? Do the same thing on Facebook Marketplace? Could we do it on eBay? You get any idea? Do you need a broker? Do you need an agent? No. Now you've got your price way below everybody else. What's going to happen? So let's say we dropped our price to $270. Nobody knows what we bought it for. Yeah, we spent $120, but look at the margin here. Do we have a chance to make money? Maybe you want to fix it up. Maybe you want to paint it. Do you have margin? Do you have money to work with? Yes, you've got all of that. You don't have to worry about agents because you've got price on your side. You got installment sales on your side. You got seller financing on your side. Plus, why not cause a crowd? You cause a crowd to come and see your house. You can do that by doing Facebook Marketplace, do ugly signs, do a local newspaper. You do everything at once. Why do you do all that? Because you want to get lots of traffic through the property. Now, signs are ugly signs. We have whole classes on ugly signs. I don't have to cover it now. But the point is, if you don't get some signs up there, nobody's going to know the property's for sale. You've got to make sure. Now, every property that's boarded up doesn't mean it's bad. Sometimes people do that just to make sure. But the point is, you want to sell the property. If you don't have any signs out there, I'm going to tell you, you're going to miss the boat on a lot of this business. All right, so what do we have? We have people that don't have a very good FICO score. We have people that are looking for bargains. We're pricing it a lot better. You're getting the idea. I can sell this property without an agent because I'm going to go to work and actually do some work. Now, if I sell on a contract, which I could get from a title company, that could be a contract for deed. So that simple contract could say, I'm selling you my house. Here's an IOU that you have to sign. It's a promissory note. And oh, by the way, I'm not giving you the title until you make all your payments. Well, that happens every day in America. That happens every day in America. I keep the title, I keep the deed until they pay me. Now, I've got the security. They're going to pay me or they're going to get evicted. I don't have to go through the foreclosure process. Now, here's the beauty of the whole business. When you can sell without an agent, there's no waiting. You see, the agent is going to take all the contracts to the bank and try to get the bank finance. So most people want bank financing. Well, of course, if they qualify, because they'll get low rates. All right, if the bank's going to approve, they're going to have to do a lot of things. They're going to have to ask for an appraisal. They're going to have to ask for a home inspection. They're going to have to ask an attorney to do all that. That's all going to take 1 or 2 months. And you're going to have to pay commissions to all those people and pay all those costs. It could easily cost 10% of the sales price. Now, a minute ago, I showed you a $400,000 property. 10% of that sales price is a nice payday for me. So I'll do that work myself rather than pay $40,000 to all those commissions out there. You can sell the property yourself. It's going to be up to you. Now, I'm going to finish this right now. However, below me is a free gift. You do want to take advantage of that. Now, before I close, I want to tell you two things. Number one, don't buy any property that you haven't seen. Why? What if there was a hurricane? What if there was a fire that burned it down? What if it was next to a chicken farm? Think about all that. Number two, don't get in a bidding war. When you go to that auction, you're going to get excited and start bidding it up. Okay, here's how I prevent my people from getting in a bidding war. I know what I can sell it for before I bid. So in the example I showed you, I know if I can discount a property in the market 10, 20, or 30%, I know I can sell it quickly without an agent. $400,000 house, I just dropped the price to $270. It doesn't matter to me. I bought it for $120. So I got it for 20 or 30 cents on the dollar. Now I take that discount. Now I'm competitive. You can do the same thing. So do that before you bid at the auction. My name is Ted Thomas. There's a free gift below me. Take advantage of it.